everyone, welcome to this deep dive. I'm so excited for this one. We're going to be exploring the idea of staying connected to Jesus.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It is. Specifically, we're looking at it through John 15.5, the vine and branches.
Right.
Yeah. And we're going to be using this blog post as our main source. It's called Staying Connected to the Vine, Understanding John 15.5.
Oh, yeah.
And it's from a website called Positive Affirmations. So I've been looking through this post, and I think it's going to be a really fruitful deep dive.
I think so, too. I think people are really going to connect with this.
Yeah, it uses some powerful metaphors and gives some really practical steps we can all take.
And a couple of inspiring stories, too, right?
Yeah, definitely. So let's jump right in. Right from the beginning, the post uses that vivid image from John 15.5, the vine and branches.
Yeah, such a classic image.
It is, and it's so powerful, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about when you hear that metaphor?
Well, for me, it really highlights how much we depend on Jesus. Just like a branch can't survive without the vine.
Exactly. And the post really breaks it down well. It says that Jesus is the vine, we are the branches, and the fruit represents the positive qualities and impact we have when we're connected to him.
Right. It's not just about our own spiritual growth. It's about how that growth spills over into the world around us.
Yes. And the blog post even includes a watercolor illustration of the vine and branches. It shows the branches bearing fruit like love and joy and peace.
I love that they added that visual element.
Me too. Visuals like that really help, don't they?
They do. Sometimes words aren't enough. You know? You need something to really bring the concept to life.
Absolutely. So let's talk about why this idea of staying connected matters so much. What happens when we neglect that connection?
Well, the post talks about how we lose our spiritual strength.
Yeah.
And it's hard to navigate life's challenges without that strength.
You're telling me it's like trying to walk through a storm without an umbrella.
Yeah. It's tough. And not only that, but we also lose our sense of purpose. We start to feel lost and directionless.
That makes sense. It's like setting out on a journey without a map or a compass.
Exactly. You might make some progress, but you're likely to end up lost and frustrated. But when we stay connected to Jesus, it's like we have that map and compass guiding us toward a life of purpose and fulfillment.
I love that analogy. And the post highlights that connection as a source of strength, purpose, and the ability to bear fruit, to develop those positive qualities.
It's not just about our inner world. It's about having a real impact on the world around us.
Absolutely. It's about living a life that's aligned with God's purpose and reflects his love. And speaking of practical steps, the blog post gives us 5 specific things we can do to nurture our connection with Jesus. It's not just this vague idea. It actually lays out some real-world actions we can take.
I love when they do that. It's like, okay, great ideas, but how do I actually put this into practice?
Right. They actually give us tools we can use.
Absolutely. And the first step is daily prayer and meditation.
Oh, yeah, prayer. That makes sense. It's like setting the tone for your day, right?
It is. Like the post gives an example of starting each morning with a simple prayer. Just inviting Jesus into your day and asking for his guidance and strength.
I love that. It's not about complicated rituals. It's about making space for that connection with Jesus. It's like starting your day with a conversation with a close friend. What kind of things do you talk to Jesus about in your prayers?
Well, it really depends on the day. Sometimes I'm asking for guidance on a tough decision or maybe for strength to face a challenge. Other times I'm just expressing gratitude for the good things in my life.
It's like having a constant companion, right? Someone who's always there to listen and support you no matter what you're going through.
It really is. And that brings us to the second step, reading and reflecting on the Bible.
The Bible, it's such a rich source of wisdom and guidance, but sometimes it can feel a little overwhelming.
I know what you mean. There's so much there. But this post encourages us to approach it like a conversation with a wise mentor.
Oh, I like that. It's not just about reading it like a textbook. It's about engaging with the text and asking questions.
Exactly. And they even suggest setting aside just 10 minutes each day to read a passage and reflect on how it relates to your own life and challenges.
Yeah, even just a small chunk of time can make a big difference. And it's amazing how often you can find something that speaks directly to what you're going through.
It's like those words were written just for you.
It really does feel that way sometimes. It's incredible. And, the post reminds us that we're not meant to do this alone.
Right. That's where the third step comes in. Fellowship and community.
Yes. Connecting with other believers, whether it's through a Bible study, a small group, or just spending time with like-minded friends. Have you found that to be helpful in your own journey?
Oh, absolutely. It's like having a team of cheerleaders encouraging you along the way.
I love that. And sometimes you need that extra support, right? Especially when you're facing challenges.
For sure. And it's not just about receiving support either. It's also about giving back and supporting others in their faith journeys.
Yeah, it's a two-way street. We can learn so much from each other. And the blog post highlights this beautifully with a couple of case studies. They share the stories of Lisa and Tom.
Oh yeah, Lisa and Tom, I remember.
Yeah, two ordinary people who experienced incredible transformation through their connection with Jesus. And their stories are so relatable. They remind us that this isn't just for super spiritual people. It's for anyone who wants to experience more peace, purpose, and joy in their lives.
Totally. It's about real people facing real challenges and finding hope and strength through their faith.
It's inspiring. So I'm really curious to hear more about Lisa's story. What were some of the challenges she was facing?
Well, she struggled with anxiety. And we're back talking about staying connected to Jesus, like a branch to the vine.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this conversation. And, as we're going through this blog post, this metaphor of the vine and the branches, I'm wondering, what does it really mean to be a branch? To really live out that dependence on Jesus?
I think that's a great question. It's something that we often gloss over. But for me, I think it starts with recognizing that we're not the source.
The source of what?
Of our strength, our purpose, our ability to make a difference in the world.
So we're not just be trying to do it all on our own.
Right. We have to let go of that, of the need to control everything.
So it's about surrender.
Yeah, and humility. Recognizing that we need Jesus, that we can't do this life thing on our own.
It's funny because you'd think that depending on someone else would make you weaker.
You would.
Yeah.
But it's actually the opposite. The more we surrender to Jesus, the stronger we become.
Oh, interesting. How does that work?
Well, it's like, remember those benefits we talk about? Spiritual fruitfulness, inner peace, personal growth.
Oh, yeah.
Those things come from our connection with Jesus. They're not things we can just manufacture on our own.
It's like trying to force a branch to grow fruit without being connected to the vine. It just won't happen.
Exactly. It's a paradox, isn't it? The more we let go, the more we actually receive. The more we surrender, the more freedom we experience.
That makes sense. It's about tapping into a power that's bigger than ourselves.
Yes. And the blog post uses great visual for this. It's a watercolor of a hand holding fruit.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
And it's a reminder that those fruits, those positive qualities that we want to see in our lives, they come from our connection with Jesus.
So it's not about striving or trying to be good enough.
Nope. It's about allowing His Spirit to work in us, to transform us from the inside out. It's like a process of osmosis.
Osmosis.
Yeah, like being so close to Jesus, spending so much time with Him that His qualities start to rub off on us.
That's a great analogy. And it's not passive either, right? We have to be intentional about nurturing that connection.
Exactly. That's where those practical steps come in. Prayer, Bible reading, fellowship. Those things are like nutrients that feed our connection with Jesus.
Makes sense. So it's like tending a garden. You have to water the plants, give them sunlight if you want them to thrive.
Exactly. And just like a gardener takes joy in seeing their plants flourish, Jesus takes joy in seeing us grow, in seeing us bear fruit.
And speaking of purpose, that's another thing that really resonated with me in this blog post. How staying connected to Jesus helps us discover and live out our purpose.
Right. It's like, how many times have you heard someone say, I just feel lost. I don't know what my purpose is.
All the time.
Me too. And this post points us to the answer. It's like, when we're connected to Jesus, He reveals our purpose to us. He gives us direction.
So it's not like we each have this predetermined path that we're supposed to follow.
No, it's more like we have a divine compass guiding us, helping us to make choices that are aligned with God's will.
It's about trusting that He has a plan for us, even when we can't see the whole picture.
Yes, and that can be hard, especially in our culture where we're always told to be in control, to plan everything out.
Right. We want to be independent, self-sufficient. But what I'm realizing is that true freedom comes from surrendering to something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. And when we do that, when we align ourselves with God's purpose, that's when we really start to live.
Yeah.
To experience true fulfillment.
It's like stepping onto a dance floor and letting a skilled partner lead.
Ooh, I love that analogy. You might be surprised by the beauty and grace that emerges.
And you have to trust your partner, right?
Absolutely. You have to let go of your own ideas about how the dance should go and surrender to their lead.
And that's what it's like with Jesus.
Yeah. He leads, he guides, he empowers. And we respond with faith, obedience, a willingness to step outside our comfort zones.
And that's where the growth happens, right? When we step outside those comfort zones.
Yes. That's when we discover new things about ourselves, new talents, new passions, and we start to see how God can use us in ways we never imagined.
It's about realizing that we're a part of something much bigger than ourselves. We're branches connected to the vine, working together to create something beautiful.
And that brings us back to that thought-provoking question you posed earlier. How does this concept of staying connected to the vine apply to a community of believers?
That's a good one. If we're all branches connected to the same vine, how can we support each other's growth? How can we help each other bear more fruit?
It's like, think about a vine. It thrives when its branches are healthy and strong.
So we need each other.
Exactly. We're stronger together. We can encourage each other, challenge each other, support each other.
It's like, the post had that watercolor illustration of people walking peacefully together. Remember that one?
Yeah, it really captures the sense of community, of shared purpose.
And it reminds me of that verse in Hebrews that talks about not giving up meeting together. Because we need that encouragement, that support.
We do. We weren't meant to do this faith journey alone. We need each other to share our gifts, our resources, our experiences.
And when we do that, when we come together in unity, the impact we can have is incredible.
It's like, imagine a symphony orchestra, each musician playing their individual instrument. But when they come together, under the direction of a conductor, they create this amazing harmonious sound.
Beautiful.
And in the same way, when we as believers come together, under the leadership of Jesus, we can create something truly amazing.
It's about more than just our individual connections with Jesus. It's about fostering healthy connections within the body of Christ.
Yes. It's about understanding that we're all part of something bigger than ourselves. And when we embrace that, when we work together, well, I think we can change the world.
I love that. There's so much power in unity, and I can't wait to explore that further in part 3.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
It's amazing how this idea of staying connected to Jesus, like the vine and branches, can impact not just our own lives, but also, like, the world around us.
Yeah, we've been talking about personal transformation and the power of community, but it doesn't stop there.
It's like those ripples, when you drop a pebble into a pond.
I see what you mean. It starts small, but then those ripples just keep spreading outwards.
Exactly. So if our connection with Jesus is that pebble, what kind of ripples can we create?
Well, the blog post talked about this too. It said that the transformation we experience personally should overflow into our interactions with others.
So it's not just about feeling more peaceful or joyful on the inside. It's about letting those qualities actually show up in how we treat people.
Right. Being more loving and patient, more forgiving, letting those fruits of the Spirit really shine through.
Yeah. It's like we become little beacons of light.
I love that image. And the post also emphasized the importance of serving others as a way to express that outward flow of connection.
Yeah, putting our faith into action, volunteering, helping a neighbor, even just small acts of kindness.
Exactly. It's about living out what we believe.
Yeah.
Not just talking about it.
Right, because actions speak louder than words. And when we're connected to Jesus, our actions start to reflect his love.
And that's what the world needs, right? More love, more compassion, more grace.
Absolutely. Imagine if everyone who called themselves a Christian was really committed to living this way.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, think about the problems we see in society. So much conflict, so much division.
And suffering and injustice. It can feel overwhelming sometimes.
It can. But what if we, as followers of Jesus, were actively working to bring healing and reconciliation to those broken places?
That would be amazing. It's like instead of being part of the problem, we become part of the solution.
Exactly. And it starts with each of us individually, nurturing that connection with Jesus, letting his love transform us.
And then letting that transformation flow outwards into our relationships, our communities, the world around us.
Yeah, it's like a chain reaction of love and kindness.
I think that's what I find so inspiring about this whole concept of staying connected to the vine. It's not just about personal piety. It's about making a real difference in the world.
It's about being a force for good.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is, anyone can do it.
That's true. No matter who you are or where you come from, you can experience this connection with Jesus. and be a part of this movement of positive change.
It all starts with that simple decision to connect, to surrender, to let Jesus be the vine and we be the branches.
Well said. And from there, the possibilities are limitless. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to encourage you to cultivate that connection with Jesus in your own life. Let it transform you from the inside out, and then let that transformation flow outwards, impacting the world around you. It's amazing what can happen when we stay connected to the vine.
Yeah.